The motion this week is media is becoming too liberal in the content aired. Proposing the motion, Loreto Limuru. Opposing the motion, Alliance Boys High School.
Each contestant has 3 minutes to make their submissions. The audience also gets a chance to put their questions to each team. Each side will have an additional 1 minute to make a final statement. The judge's decision is final. But in a twist, the audience also gets to have their say through the popular vote. This will see an extra 5% added to the school that wins this vote. The winning school will get an ICT chill-out zone with the widescreen TV, computers, webcams, and internet connection. The teacher from the winning school gets 100,000 shillings courtesy of Chase Bank. The winning students each get a tablet courtesy of Safaricom, a gift hamper from Unilever, and a gift hamper from mimi.co.ke. And together they all win the title, The Great Debaters. May the best school win.
Proposer number 1, you may begin.
We have songs such as Bend Over by RDX in Jamaica. In that country, the country of production, that song is illegal. It is banned because they understand what immorality is. They understand what the difference between right and wrong. And in our country, in this freedom that the media chooses to abuse, they let it run. The illegal stature continues. The illegal stand continues. When are we going to stop this? Another example is the song Ashao by the musician from from Ghana, referred to as Flavor. And it still runs in our country. It still plays in our music videos and channels. And here we are, dancing to the song, moving to the song. Let me explain to you the function of the media. It is to educate, to entertain, to enlighten, to inform. And I ask you, my friends, stand with me today as I ask you these questions and answer. Is the media supposed to intimidate the common Mwananchi, the common people? Is the media supposed to be of doctored ability to doctor information? Is the media supposed to continuously, persistently portray our country as a battleground full of barbarism? Is the media supposed to depict us as a nation without hope? That the future in this country that lays in the youth of our country is hopeless? Who gave the people of Kenya who gave the media of Kenya that stand to take away the power from us? We had control. We gave them control. I ask you, take it back now. Stand with me today and take back the control. How far is too far? And how thick is the line that we insistently allow them to cross over and back? Thank you.
Proposer number 1, you may take the stage. You have 3 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, judges, my fellow opposers and proposers, greetings to you all. I take it that the proposing side has handled the definition of times quite beautifully to an extent to which I will not go back to it. First and foremost, I would like to rebut on this point that the people in Jamaica who produced the song Bend Over by RDX, if I got you right, correct, that is. What I'd like to say is that you said that they understand between right and wrong. So, are you implying that we as a country, we as Kenyans, do not understand between right and wrong? I would like to say that the media is not too liberal. Or if you want to say that it's liberal, it has its own point. The realism it brings about in this liberalism, for example, John Allen Namu, Muhammad Ali, these great people, they go out of their way to find out what is happening on the ground. Take, for example, Jicho Pevu, a program I'm sure most of you are familiar with here. The media, in its liberalism, defends the minority rights. Let us go back to a few months ago when there was the issue of Andrew to Audrey Mbugua. This was about the sexual, might I say this, confusion amongst people. And it also highlighted quite a bit on the gay rights. It sensitized people to these emergent issues which would have otherwise been unknown to them were it not for this liberalism of the media. Now, you say that the media is too liberal. I would like to pose this question to you. Do you want us to put a measure on the freedom of a people? Do you want us to regress back to those dark days, those dog days in President Moi's era, where the media was so stifled that no one could say anything against the politicians in Moi's regime? The media has censoring and rating. So, once you get mature content that you should not be watching, the under 18, under 21, the gory programs and whatnot, we see that you have a choice on whether to watch it or not. So you could not say that it's being too liberal, because everyone has their own tastes, which the media is trying to cater for in its entertaining. The maturity of the media is a clear portent that the country has in itself also matured and gotten out of the dog days, the dark era. It ushers in a new age of freedom. It was my pleasure to educate you thus far. Thank you.
Proposal number 2, give a rebuttal.
Angela Nyaga, Loreto High School, Limuru. To my fellow opponents, you've asked the question whether we do not understand what is right and wrong. But in every country, we find that you have a sensory board that is supposed to regulate the material that is being exposed to the public. So it is not the fact of whether Kenyans know what is right and wrong. It is the fact that the CCK is supposed to limit. If a song has been banned from another country, isn't it common sense that there's something wrong with that song? It's not for us to choose what to listen to. It is for the CCK to control what is being let out. Then again, you've also mentioned about people, journalists, in this country, from the KTN, John Alan Namu and Ali Mohammed. There's a case that they investigated about Abdul Rogo. They went to the extent of asking a 10-year-old boy about his father's criminal activities. Why ask a 10-year-old boy and expose that information to the public? They went to do further investigation and release information that the police had not released. Are the police of Kenya stupid? Do they not know why they're not releasing that information? Why are we compromising the safety of our country? The police are not stupid. Why do journalists have to cross the line and release information that they've not been allowed to release? Then again, my opponents, you've said that we are trying to limit the media. We are not trying to limit the media. Taking an example, when have you ever woken up and heard that the president of Kenya, chief commander of the armed forces, has come down with a flu? To the media, especially with people who have authority, people who have influence in society, you do not just release any information to the public, because with that position he has comes the risk of safety. The media just cannot let out anything. We have been hit by the terrorists at the Westgate Mall, and we found that on the 26th of September 2013, the Daily Nation, on their front page, they had a photo. On the cover page, there was a woman who was devastated, a woman who was very terribly injured. That's on the front page of a very... Daily Nation is a paper it's of high caliber. So to figure out how such a sensitive photo would have reached the cover page with such a strong editorial team is questionable. What are we subjecting the citizens of Kenya to? Yeah, I know, boys, you're colorblind, and black and white are colors, by the way, but gray is also a shade of a color. We do not have to release information as it is. There are always risks of releasing the information as it is. Yes, the Daily Nation, they did apologize to the whole country on Monday's newspaper, but what? The information had already gotten out. And by that, I'll end with a saying by Bill Clinton. What we have to do is to find a way to celebrate our diversity and debate our differences without fracturing our communities. Thank you.
The second opposer, you may give your rebuttal.
Greetings to you all. Let me first start by saying, commenting rather, about the nation picture the other day. Yes, the picture is actually really explicit and very bad for people to see. But do you know how many people decided not to go there after they saw that picture? Who cannot reason that the fact that, hey, I can see there's somebody really, really in pain here. Kenyans are known to be going to the source of trouble when they need not to be going there. But this picture sensitized people. It made people know that I cannot go there, it's dangerous. It was explicit, but it served its purpose. It kept people away from Westgate. Number 2, communications, Commission of Communications Kenya, CCK, sorry, I'm not very sure about that. But the CCK does limit media freedom in that they cannot show too explicit things. They cannot show pornography. The bend over video, as I remember, was banned. So as far as I'm concerned, they're not being too free. They're not being let out like little kids with no parent. They have a parent. The parent is CCK. He's taking good care of them. The parent is doing a very good job. If they see this thing is too bad, they get rid of it immediately. Media brings about reality. It shows us what is on the ground. The 10-year-old who was asked about whether his father's terrorist activities. Do you know if that boy does not go for counseling, he can easily become a terrorist himself? Think about it. I mean, no one will tell him it's wrong. No one will ask him about it. He'll just think his father had a good career. But these people who asked that 10-year-old boy about his terrorist activities, do you think they left him alone right there, not, with him thinking that it's actually good for you to be a terrorist? No, it's bad for him. He realized that. It's a reality. We needed to know. We needed to know how far he had stemmed into it. Because if that child started terrorism when he was 10 years old, imagine when he turned 20, 30, 40, 50. We could have easily have stemmed that a long time ago. By these same guys, John Alanamu, Muhammad Ali, coming in and showing the reality and helping people know that, hey, there is trouble here. Another point that comes here is media enhances the culture of Kenya. The freedom it is given by other people, by Kenya to show everything there is. It shows the good about Kenyans. Think about it. Our culture as dancing Kenyans is out there. Everybody knows we're a dancing nation. Ezekiel Kimboi, the national rugby team. Everyone knows we love to dance because they're free to air that. Otherwise, what? Don't you think a president could easily come and say, hey, that Ezekiel Kimboi dance is too embarrassing. I'll get rid of it. But they're free to air whatever they want. So here I am saying that the media is not too liberal. It respects everyone's opinions and it does not give its own. It is impartial. Thank you.
Yes, may we have 2 questions for the proposers?
So my question to you is, do you still want us to live in darkness and not in reality? Answer that, please.
How are you going to know that a certain information is going to insult everyone? Yet we know that one man's meat is another one's poison. Thank you.
All right, may we have 2 questions for the opposing side?
Thank you. I am Robert Mungai from the Starehe Boy Center. I would like to pose a question to the opposers. Will you deny that the media going too far is just about corporate greed to sell their papers and to sell their news on TV?
My name is Anna Kombo from My Forces, and I want to ask, you've only talked about television and the things like radio and the media that always talk about relationship and they show us the bad side of relationship, that relationship can't last, and they talk very bad things about relationship, telling us bad things. How do you explain that and how is that good for us?
The third proposer, you have 3 minutes to respond.
Kimondo Eden, Loreto High School, Limuru. I'll start by answering your question. You asked, when will we stop living in darkness and start living in the light? But I ask you a question. Do you want to live in this light where there's no peace? In this light where everything we fight about is just about violence and people dying every day? There is a reason the police did not release that information, because it risked the state of our national security. So why go, and yet you yourself were putting yourself at risk and also the whole nation at risk? Think about it. Should we live in light or live in peace? The other question was, you said that one man's meat is another man's poison. Are you aware that in Malaysia, the newspapers mostly are just about developments of the country? There's a time that 2 pages of the newspaper is dedicated to the education system in Malaysia. But in Kenya, bad news is the good news. In Kenya, bad makes headline. In Kenya, bad makes profit. So why should we always go on all the way to politics, all the way to the sagas that are happening in Kenya, instead of looking for ways, supporting people who are coming up with inventions, supporting our education system, supporting things that may help us in future and help us grow as a nation? I beg to differ with my opponent. Because your father is a thief doesn't make you a thief. Because your father was a terrorist does not mean you will become a terrorist. Your father's character, your mother's character does not define who you are. You will choose your own path. So asking a 10-year-old about his father, most probably he didn't even understand what he was. He saw a father figure who provides. He did not see a father figure who was a terrorist. We asked again, how thick is this line? The Sunday Nation, 22nd September 2013, the cover page. In 2008, there was a hay festival called Story Moja. It was a few months after the post-election violence. The wounds had not yet healed, but they went ahead to exhibit those photos. They went ahead to show what was happening. Maybe some people who went there were fleeing for their lives. Then you show them when their wounds are still fresh. There's this book I have here. It's called Kenya Burning. I am afraid to open it because I am not sure how many people will be comfortable with seeing what is inside this book. Why do we want to traumatize people? Why do we want to make people see only the negative side of our country? Why do we want people just to see that bad things do happen? Why don't we show them the good things happening? Why? The CNN reporter who was fired recently because of saying there were people who are preparing for war in Kenya. Yes, she later apologized, but you see, where is this line? Even though we go too far to say that they should apologize, this just shows that we need to take the power back into our hands and liberate and stop the media from reporting things that are too much. Enough is enough. Thank you.
The third opposer, you may respond to the questions.
This is not me crying, but this is me at the verge of tears that a respectable school like this one could come here and talk about that this media, which has brought us here to debate this motion, has gone too liberal. If they were so free, they could have denied this motion from happening. Right. Girls, I can see a lot of girls here. They air on television things about your sanitary pads. If the men, they could come up and say that, no, the media is too explicit. We cannot be talking about sanitary pads and girls using socks and using cartons because it is explicit. We cannot be saying that the media cannot be talking about things like condoms because it is explicit. How will we ever learn? Question to you. So, to the person who asked that question about corporate greed, about these sanitary pads, seriously, is that corporate greed or helping our ladies, the leaders of tomorrow who are sitting here? About relationship, we have matchmaking in Citizen TV, for example, called Tujuane. It's bringing a lot of people together. Is it NTV? Thank you. Huh? Okay, I'll go on. I'll go on. It has been proven by the proposers that the media is not too liberal. Because the motion is not talking about Kenyan media. They have come here and they have told you Malaysia talks about development. There's Jamaica, which has banned videos like Bend Over. Thank you so much for bringing out this idea that this country of ours, we cannot be coming here unpatriotic to attack a media that is about the Westgate. I'm sorry for opening old wounds. 5.1 million was contributed because of the media. Talk about Kenyans for Kenyans. An initiative by the media, helping a lot of people. Do you want us to, for example, the national media, I know the whole thing, they were in a lot of controversy about the picture that was aired. Let me tell you something. There is the definition of media, the contents that they air, that the proposers will not tell you. They will not tell you that that magazine is print media, and you cannot air something on a newspaper. You can only post it there. Why introduce such a point? Thank you.
The proposing team, you may give your final submissions.
Let us correct our friends from the great school, like you stated, Alliance High School. Now, is it about the greatness of our school? 3 people, 100 people, or is it about the 50 million Kenyans whose lives depend on the information given by the media? Why do you insist on belittling us? Why do you insist on shaming us, our new generation, this generation? You stated that the media is impartial. I will correct you. You stated that they do not make mistakes. Now, let me state with proof. Do you know how many false alarms our media has caused? Do you understand? Recently, the Daily Post released in the front cover to sell papers that they had the complete proof of the identity of the witness number 536 in the case of ICC, the ICC case. They had his identity. Later on, to state that they didn't, in fact, have his identity. They risked his life. And you stand here and say they have been proven. They are correct, impartial. I rest my case by stating, we are a country. Media is inclusive of our vernacular stations, who are currently in cases, very deep-rooted cases in the courts, trying to fight out and prove that they're not guilty of making people fight and kill each other. And you say we are impartial? How far is too far? Thank you.
A member of the opposing team to wrap up the argument.
The greatest sin of man, the greatest at any time, at any place, is ignorance. Tell me, do you want to live in a country where they don't tell you that your members of parliament whom you selected, they sleep in parliament? Do you want to live in a world where corruption takes place, but because the person who does this corruption is a leader, he cannot be exposed because he's in power? Do you want to live because you're a common person, that there are some people who are above the law and you are not? You will be discriminated and you'll be kept in the dark about things that are going on in this country. About the Westgate attack, what could have been your thoughts? What could be your opinions? If, for example, they could have told you about this thing after it has been solved, that you could not help your neighbors, you could not help your Kenyans because the media has been restricted. Think about it. We need the media. We need information. Thank you.
For all those of the opinion that Loreto Limuru had a fairer and much more convincing argument, please raise your hand. For those who believe that Alliance High School had a fairer and much more convincing argument, please raise your hand. Loreto Limuru, you have the popular vote.
Let me start with Loreto. Halahu, very interesting speaker. You're passionate and you're fiery from the start. Nonetheless, when you came to wind up, ensure that you do not get angered by your opponents, because at some point you seemed, if you're given a chance, you'll go physical. Angela, you raised very thought-provoking issues. The rebuttal was very effective. I love the localized examples, and you are quite logical. I can say a lot about Eden, logical flow of ideas. I really admire you. When you stand there to speak, you really get my attention. You're a very great speaker. I love the question, should we live in the light or live in peace? In response to one of the questions raised by one members of the audience, or rather a member of the audience. Very interesting. Bad makes profit. You used some very great statements that were delivered with clarity and alacrity. I really admire you. The source of facts were equally good. Alliance High School. Let me make a few comments. You made a statement to the effect that your opponents were being offensive, but it is not true. When they say that other countries have outlawed some songs in those particular countries, they don't mean to say that Kenyans are stupid. That is not what they implied. I think that should be made clear. Most of your examples, you're coming to educational program, but I think what we must capture in the motion is the word too liberal. It's not a question of the media being liberal, but being too liberal, going overboard. That is the thing that we are debating here.
What is the impact that we have when we are too liberal or when we are not? We needed to feel the impact and examples of what has happened as a result of some of the situations where the media has gone beyond or not. Do we have countries that control the media in itself? I know of an example such as China. And what is the relevance of this? Does it have any impact on the people there? So those are some of the things that we also needed addressed, because this is a very wide topic and it is consumed in the whole world. I'd like to probably correct or mention a few things that were said, having said that all of you are good speakers. And I want to say that the example given by Eden, a very good speaker you are, but when you say the CNN reporter, I was waiting to hear which one. It's good not to just mention, because we have how many reporters in CNN? Very many, is it? So it's good to let us know who that person is. Kinyua, when you say that we have ratings in movies or any other things that is consumed in the televisions, I wanted to know who controls the underage not to watch some of these things then? Or are they just aired and you're told this is not for you if you're not 18, and then you're left there to now decide on your own? Is there something that is being done for you for this underage not to watch the same things? Laban, you came and said CCK and you're not very quite sure about their initials. We expect you to do your research. This is the body that regulates media in the country, so it's good for you to know your facts straight. Don't come and say you are not sure of it, all right? And I know by now you should have known the initials and what they stand for. Vidal, the proposing team, when you come and say that they are here and yet they are coming to stand right at a place where media is already involved, the question is, they will also tell you that they are here to also express a point on the dangers of this media, is it? So and I thought the proposing team would have said something on that.
This was a motion that was close to my heart as a media lecturer, and I sat here and listened to the proposers and opposers. I think in terms of speakers, you're all very good speakers, the 6 of you up there. I will get into some finer details of your debate this morning. To Loreto High School, Halaku, you're a very good speaker. Your style and presentation is good. Eden, again, a very good speaker. I like your composure. And teamwork was manifested as you spoke. However, there are certain inferences and statements that the team makes that you're not sure about. And until you can prove that they are factual, you'd rather not talk about them. For example, the radio presenter who's at ICC the case is still being heard. So you cannot, you cannot condemn them, until the case is over. So it's the courts that judge and not we as audiences. But I also like the fact that you narrowed down to some specific media, because media is broad. I like the fact that you narrowed down to some specific media. That was good. To Alliance High School, again, a very powerful team of 3 there. Very interesting speakers. You bring a whole range of style in terms of presentation, which is good, variety. I love your passion and conviction, Guiron, Laban, and Vidal. But I think for me what was lacking is the coherency of arguments. And this is something that we needed to get clear, not just from your side, but also from the ladies' side. What do we mean by liberalism? I think that did not come out clearly. And the motion was, is it becoming too liberal or is it not? But you tended to shift away from that and debate on other issues altogether. I think Laban talked about the nation picture and said that the public had a right to know. But we also need to be sensitive to the needs of the audience. We need to balance between the public's right to know and the right to privacy of people who consume the media. And the fact that the media went out and apologized over that piece means that there was something wrong that they did. So we need to think about that. True, the public has a right to know, but we want to always be able to balance that.
The Giants of Kiambu County have given us quite a run. Alliance High had 74%. That's very good of them. Let's clap for them. And Loreto Limuru had 81%. Clap for them. Plus your 5%, they had 86, and they are our winners for today.
Well, we believe that Alliance, you will take this not as a defeat, but as an experience with people or opponents who can actually show you that they are not what they seem. And for Loreto Limuru, we are grateful for your participation, and we hope that you will be better in the next round. And from all of us at the Great Debaters Contest, we'd like to say thank you, and I've been your host, Austin Yambok.
And I am Mariam Bishar. Keep it, Great Debaters, for more wonderful debates. See you next time.
The winning school will get an ICT chill-out zone with a widescreen TV, computers, webcams, and internet connection. The teacher from the winning school gets 100,000 shillings courtesy of Chase Bank. The winning students each get a tablet courtesy of Safaricom, a gift hamper from Unilever, and a gift hamper from mimi.co.ke. And together, they all win the title, The Great Debaters. May the best school win.